Welcome to another issue of the Cool Tools Show and Tell. Our special guest this week is Robert Edwards. And Robert, would you like to introduce yourself to our listeners and watchers?
Yeah, my name is Robert Edwards. I'm a father of three young boys. I reside in Southwest Montana, and I love building new things and fixing old. This is one of my favorite podcasts. I look forward to it every week, and so I'm really excited to be here with you and talk about tools.
Well, we're really glad that you've decided to join us, and I'd love to hear what kind of tools you have in mind for us. What's your first one?
Yeah, so the first is, it's actually a tool for tools. I'm gonna adjust my camera here slightly. This is the Milwaukee Packout drawer system. There's, in this particular one, there's three drawers. They're on gliders. They lock in place. They do make a 2-drawer system as well. But what's slick about them is that they're a portable chest that you can actually pick up, right?
Wow. So that you can either use it as like a standalone thing in your workshop, or they're portable.
Right. And so because, now I can haul my tools around and yet also have a large tool chest. There's a cleated male-female cleat system on each one of them. And so they lock together. And now I have a 3-drawer or 6-drawer, 2-chest tool cart that's also locked to a set of caster wheels.
Wow.
As a result.
Where would you move a chest like that? Do you an on-site construction or repair work or?
Exactly. So I'll use this around my workshop in itself. So if I'm, say, working on a car, I can roll the tool chest right next to the car. I'm not going back and forth to my much larger tool chest. I stock this with the 95% of tools that I'm always using. They're always right here. And there's kind of a place for everything and everything in its place organization. And it's just right here at my fingertips every time. I know where everything is. Right. I don't have to go back and forth. And then yet if I go to a job site, I can, unsnap them, and you can get these in a car or a truck. It's not a heavy toolbox that weighs 800 pounds sort of situation.
Could you put a third one on?
So yeah, you can put a third box up on top. What I actually do is grab it real quick. So they also sell this cleating system that allows you to either use their worktop or modify for your own.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Right. So now I'm rolling around with all of the tools that I ever want on a job site. I have a workspace to work with. I got a little clamp on this particular one. And then I have several different worktops that I attach. So if I'm doing a bunch of welding, I have one of these that just snaps on, that's a plate of steel with some fixturing holes in it. I've got one that has all my soldering station stuff on it. I've got one that's just a drafting board. Drafting machine and that sort of thing. So it's kind of flexible to what I'm doing in that moment and the time. This one I don't have it on here now, but I do have a fixture where I can put a desk lamp on it so that I get some additional lighting.
I like the idea of a kind of a modular storage and workbench system.
Right. Cool. If I'm on a job site, there's a radio module that clicks in here. It makes it a little bit higher, but it charges your batteries and you can listen to some tunes or Cool Tools podcast. It's really slick how it works. You can lock these into place. So when you're you can put a padlock on it. I don't know how great of a lock it is, kind of keeping the honest man honest, but it does keep the drawers closed when the chest is in the back of your truck, that sort of thing.
Interesting. And what about price? How expensive is it?
They're not cheap. You're looking at about around 150, 160 per chest. I'm sitting on a caster wheel set that was another $100. And then for that desk or the tool bench top, the cleats, I think that was another $50 or so. It's not cheap, but it's really well made. I've had this particular setup for about 2 years now, and I'm on all kinds of job sites and really giving it a beating, especially with this bench top on it. I got a steel rail across it, so I'm always hammering on it and that sort of thing. I've never had any problems with it. They're really, really well made. It is a lifetime tool.
And well, I mean, the storage chests are not cheap themselves either. I mean,
Right,
metal,
right,
they're not cheap. Even the Harbor Freight ones aren't that cheap.
right, right.
Yeah. That's a fantastic find. It's really great. I can see that being useful to a lot of people. And do they have like inserts? Is there kind of like a Sortmo or Stanley, these organizers? Are they on do they have
Yeah,
inside?
I'll tilt that back down again. I don't have a whole lot of inserts. There's Milwaukee makes quite a few, and then there's a large maker community that is doing different little inserts and stuff. This is something
You
that
mean
I make.
3D printing kind of stuff?
Yeah, this is something I make that I put all my bits in,
Okay.
right? So I have a wide assortment of various
Uh-huh.
bits and whatnot that
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah, there's you look online and there's a got to be 500 different devices that you can place inside of the
Or 3D printout. I'm
right,
sure.
right.
A system for printing out those. So and again, remind me of what it's called.
It's the Milwaukee brand Pack Out.
Pack
It's the three drawer chest set up. And again, they do make a 2-drawer. It's the same height, a chest, but the drawers are a little bit deeper.
Okay.
But I find that everything, I've got drills in one of these drawers and that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
The three drawer is perfect for me.
Yeah, it sounds really great. Okay, that's a fabulous one. You're on a roll. Tell us a second one.
Yeah, so my second is, and pick it up here, is an optical punch.
Optical punch.
Yeah, so this is a precision punch. There's 3 components to it. One is a little steel punch piece.
You're holding up something that could fit in your fist, and there's some little cylinders. One looks like a small little metal cylinder, and the other one's it's like a clear glass one, and they're about maybe 2 inches at the most, inch and a half high.
Correct.
And that thing is in slips in a kind of like a holder, a circular holder, like a ring with 2 holes in it.
Yeah, so this base is this particular one's just some steel that's been blued. Sometimes they're made out of brass. And then there's a precision hole drilled in it. Then there, of course, there's this little slug punch that slides into that spot. But more importantly is this little prism piece. It's got, almost an inch of glass for bringing in light. And then there's a convex lens on top for magnification. And the other end has like a rifle scope cross on it. And so if I can get it in the right spot,
yeah, you can see that.
you
Wow.
can see it's like looking down a rifle scope.
Yeah, there's a little.
And so what you do with it is, I'm going to shoot over to view. I've got a piece of punch steel here, and I've got some really fine scribe marks that I've put onto it.
Right. And here we're looking down. We have a camera that's looking down onto a table over your shoulder. And we're looking on this little piece of square metal of about 4-inch square. And you've got some scribe lines on it. And now with your hands, you're putting this little circular 2-inch metal disc with the optical crosshairs on it.
Right. So now you place the puck down, you drop the crosshairs. I won't be able to line the camera up for you to be able to see it very well, but normally you'd put your head right over and look at it like you're looking down a rifle scope. But you give it very small, precise movements until you get that crosshair right onto your scribe marks.
Okay.
And then remove
without moving the base.
Holding the puck in place, remove the prism, and then slide the punch in and give it a tap. And then what you wind up with is a really, really precise punch hole mark for you to set your drill bits into.
Right, right.
When you're using a more traditional punch, where people are familiar with this, you're trying to get it on your scribe mark. You have to look from one angle and you move it a little bit, you move from the other, your hands are in the way, it's in the way, that sort of thing. And you wind up always being, off by, a millimeter, a few tenths or so. And so, that really adds up when you're trying to, drill for a flange or something that's gonna need some precision.
So the little trick, the little hack is you have a holder for your punch, and you take out the punch and you put in this little optical magnifier, which can look at the crosshairs. Without moving that, you put the punch back in there, and it's therefore they're set exactly on it, and then you tap it. That's
Right. You're getting rifle precision. I did some consulting for a small mine that had some equipment that they had to keep pulling offline, take the part off, ship it somewhere else to a machine shop, have the machine shop do some work to put a flange, drill some holes in it to drill a flange, ship it all the way back, put it back onto the machine. And there was valuable machines that were offline for a week or more. They were able to turn around and use this, get with the precision that they needed to do it on the insight on the field or in the field. And instead of taking weeks to do one, they were able to do 3-4 of the machines in a day this way.
wow.
You're able to get some real precision for
So they were sending it out because they couldn't get it that precise, but this allowed them to have that precision.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. And so for them, the cost of this was probably insignificant, but what is the cost of it?
Yeah, so this one here is branded Grizzly Tools.
Oh yeah,
They
Grizzly.
make some,
Okay.
right. They make some pretty good import tools. I think I paid around $50, $55 for it.
All right.
It comes with some varying different prisms that have different crosshair styles and some different punches and a nice little set and whatnot.
Okay.
So
Alrighty. That's again, something I didn't know about, but if you need that kind of precision, that makes total sense. So thank you.
right.
Number 3.
Number 3. All right. So next is a 3D navigation mouse for CAD drawings.
Yes. And you're holding up, again, it's kind of a circular cylindrical mouse, or I wouldn't call it a mouse, but it is a mouse. I guess. I mean, it's not shaped like a mouse. It's shaped more like how would you describe that?
So I call it a beanbag. That's
Flying
a
saucer.
stainless steel beanbag. It's really heavy. The base of it is made of stainless steel.
Okay.
And then on top of it is this top hat, and they call it a hat. And what you can do with it,
It's like a big fat dial.
right. It is. It's a giant knob, right?
Yeah.
In the shape of a top hat in a little bit of a way. But what you can do is you can twist it, you can push it, you can pull it, and you can also use it like an old school Atari joystick.
So you can tilt it.
Yeah.
You can tilt it, rotate it, push it. So it kind of moves in all different directions.
Right.
For the point of it.
And so what you wind up using this for is your CAD drawings, and I'll share my screen here real quick.
So yeah, so we're now seeing it's like a turbine, a jet turbine, or kind of a oblique view of a 3D rendered
right
turbine.
And now with real intuitive and gentle twist, pulls, and pushes of that beanbag with the top hat on it, I can quickly and easily maneuver around my part.
Right. So you're kind of rotating it, or you're going around it, and you're also able to zoom it in and out at the same time in a kind of all one fluid motion.
Right. And importantly, I'm doing this two-handedly. I still have my hand on my traditional mouse. And so I could, maneuver around a part, do some drawing functions. If I wanted to snap onto the tip over here and then measure the part all the way over here, I could easily do that.
Uh-huh.
Right. Whereas, in traditional, using something like Fusion 360 or not having this ability to maneuver around with two hands, you'd have to do like quick snap views or zoom in and out. And it just becomes really cumbersome and difficult.
I know that there's a 3D program I've been trying out called Shaper, where you use your left hand on an iPad.
Right.
Left hand for this orientation, and you use your right hand for the cursor. It's not as elegant as this 3D mouse.
Right.
And I suppose it's kind of. Do you find you're using it for other things, or do you have to? Can you use it to scroll through a website?
You can do some stuff like that. My kids like to use it to play Fortnite, so they can run around on the battlefield and then still aim with their other hand. But I use it exclusively for CAD drawing. And I find myself drawing just about every day, and this makes drawing really, really relaxing and enjoyable by being able to manipulate.
And when you say drawing, you mean 3D drawing, or do you mean other kinds of drawing?
Uh, for 3D CAD drawings. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what program do you favor these days?
If I'm doing something super simple, I'll use an older version of SketchUp. But Fusion 360 is just so powerful, and that's what I've been learning, or
Okay.
teaching myself. I don't know that you ever learn it. You just constantly be a student of that.
Yes, it's like Photoshop. It's like Photoshop.
Right, right.
There's a city of menus, and everybody has their own little version of the city, and that's about it. Well, okay, and so again, the name of this is
So this one's made by 3D Connection, and it's their 3D navigator.
and I know that there are other versions of that by other, probably Logitech have it. Did you do any evaluation of the various brands and styles? And
You know, I tried one of these out and fell in love with it, and it's so flawless and well made that I didn't want to mess around with something else. Sometimes a tool just works well, and you don't need to find something. There is not. I don't know that there is something better than this, right?
and you'd rather keep it that way.
I like to keep it that way. There's enough complications in my life. Let's keep it simple.
So it works, and that's all you need to know.
Right. Now, I do have multiple of these from different stations, and this one happens to be wireless. The other ones I bought, it's $150 for the wired ones, and it adds another 30 to have it wireless. I prefer the wired one. This was just the first one I bought, and after that, the battery lasts as long as any drawing session I've ever done. But I tend to leave it on and then forget about it, and then the battery's dead when I want it. And then you got to plug it in. Now it's corded again. The other thing is that it falls asleep. And so you get that delay in the action when you go to it, where it's connecting with the.
And you're not really moving it, right? It remains stationary.
Yeah. The puck itself stays on your desk, right? It's heavy, so it's got kind of an anti-slip surface to the bottom of it.
But you're not moving around, so there really is no reason why it has to be wireless.
Right. Some people, their desk might be designed in a way they don't want the clutter of it, or they want it closer to them or something, that sort of thing. So
okay. Okay, and so that's say the name one more time for this.
It's the 3D Connection.
3D Connection is the name.
Navigation mouse.
The navigation mouse is the model. 3D Connection. Right. Haven't heard of. That's fabulous. Great. Okay. So what's your fourth tool?
Fourth tool. This is they call this the Mega Square. It's built by a company called Fireball Tool. I think they're in Spokane, Washington. They're in the United States on the West Coast here. Generally in welding, we're often, I've been to many production sites, and guys are trying to weld precision using a speed square like this, right? And they're trying to line two pieces of metal up, and there's kind of a lot of hopes and prayers involved in getting something perfect. Switch views here. So the advantage to this
we're looking at now down again onto the tabletop from above, and he's holding something that, again, maybe it's a 5-inch square-ish shaped thing that has a shape that's very hard to describe, but there is a cut or inset cut or an opening that's at a right angle. So that's all I can say.
Right. So this one particular one is cast out of aluminum. It's been machined on all the outer sides. And what it is it is a perfect square with tall edge flanges to the side of it. And so what this allows you to do, because of those tall flanges on the side of it, is get a clamp in there and clamp down.
Right. So I have these right angle ones that have magnets.
Right.
That seem to work very well. Why wouldn't you use those?
So for one, there's not as much of a tall flat edge to them, and the magnet isn't holding a large piece of steel. It's just holding it in place. And when you really get down to it, you're not getting the precision of this machined edges. Additionally, that magnet has a tight point to it. When I go to lay my beads, I can come along this side and weld here, and I can get the torch down in because the square isn't entirely square. It has that end nipped off of it.
Well, actually, the magnets I have that same open.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And I use those magnets from time to time as well. You're just not able to, you're not going to hold two giant pieces of steel together
Okay.
with them necessarily, right? They hold themselves in place,
Uh-huh.
right? And
Yeah, I guess I haven't graduated to that scale because if you're welding something that's just a couple inches in each direction, it seems to work fine.
right, right. And then inversely, I can go
Yeah, okay, well that's
quickly
what they
reverse it.
yeah, that's what they can't do is they can't do the
Right, right. And then there's also multiple angles on one square. So we're showing the 90-degree. There's a 45 and there's a 120 immediately, right?
right. So
Um,
he's moving around this little device and there are different angles on it that you can get. You can get a 45 as well as a 90. That's pretty cool.
right. This is also the smallest one, and this one's cast out of aluminum. I have a much larger set. It's a 10-inch set. I believe they make them in 2-inch increments up to a full foot. And those are cast iron. The advantage to that is your welding splatter will damage the surface, the machine surface of these aluminum squares. But my large set also probably weighs close to 40 pounds. So,
Yeah.
so this is my more mobile one. Having a heavier square is also nicer to just have something that sticks in place as you're trying to attach the various
Sure.
components to it.
Right. It makes sense. And it looks like there's also ways for that clamp to go through the other side with those little slots.
Right. There, it's precision threaded as well, so you can put various these little dog ears in.
Uh-huh.
Right. And
Yeah.
so what I could do if I could get this one on here.
So you're screwing little dog ears, little stops on the back with built-in threaded.
Correct. They're just like a little tab that you can adjust in many different ways.
Right.
So for example, is if I'm working on a workbench or off of a sawhorse or something, I could clamp the clamp here at whatever degree angle I want. And then the steel will sit on those tabs. And so now I'm not only square on one axis, but the other on an XY axis. That steel is perfectly lined up, and that was quick. I'm not bouncing back and forth and trying to put a feeler gauge or look at measure it out with a tape measure to see if it's square or not. I just know it's quick and it's in place.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah. Okay. So like the little magnetic little squares for welding are maybe a first step. But if you want to go further and you were trying to do things into 3D space, or you had other than a 90-degree, this looks like a fabulous jig.
Right. With a larger set, I was able to set these on some sawhorses that were outside on a dirt ground, use a laser level to get them all even with each other. And I welded up some barn gates that were 16 by 20 feet. Right. Nobody has a fabrication table or even a slab of concrete that's that flat that you could lay something out like that. Right. And that's not something you could do with one of those magnets.
Right. I get it now. Yeah. Well, that's really fabulous. Thank you so much, Robert. So tell us about what your current passion or mission is, or something that you're excited by, or you want to share with this audience.
Yeah. So I'm spending most of my time now on with a startup where we're helping rid the world of bed bugs.
Oh, wow.
So
I just saw Veritasium's video on bed bugs, and where he went and did the research on the professor in Rutgers University who was doing the research on bed bugs. So wow, what a coincidence.
So you're a little bit familiar. There's been a lot of bed bug news in the last couple of months. Bed bugs are on the rise. For those of you that don't know, bed bugs about the size of an apple seed, and they're avid hitchhikers. You can pick them up anywhere at a hotel, a restaurant. They might jump on your luggage in the cargo hold of an airplane or in a taxi. And you bring one home, and if it's a female, it's fertile. They'll multiply at a rate of 1 to 7 a day inside your home. The horrifying part about it is that they feed exclusively off of human blood while you sleep. So it's a tick that they're truly a vampire, right? And so we've developed a specialized trap that allows apartment managers, condo associations, dormitories, housing authorities, that sort of thing, to set out a very low cost, large monitoring array in their properties, so that we can find these problems as soon as they happen, so they can be addressed quickly, cutting the cost and the hassle, liability and such for dealing with that. And then we use some crowdsourcing of the residents to harvest of the traps, photos of the traps, and then we have used some machine learning and an entomology team to evaluate what pests are on the traps and then notify the appropriate people. So kind of think of us as a fire alarm system for infesting insects.
Wow. And the traps, how do you attract them into the trap?
Yeah, so there's two parts to it. There is a histamine attractant, and then it's also very much placement of the trap, placing them near your bed, up against a wall.
Right.
They wander around looking for you. They don't necessarily know exactly where you are.
Right. One of the things that Derek showed on his video of Veritasium was that they have this really peculiar attraction to climbing up things.
Right.
Going up, which is basically like a bedpost. And that was kind of unexpected, but yeah, I could see that. Well, and so what's your startup called?
It's Pest Notify.
Okay.
And that's, if you're looking for any other information, that's where you can find it.
Right.
We're really proud of what we're doing. We're, saving landlords money, but we're also reducing the amount of chemicals, toxic pesticides that are used to eradicate that you're spraying in your home, around your kids and your pets.
Right.
And then there's a lot of mental health issues revolved around people that wind up having an infestation, between how do you sleep at night to the isolation and the embarrassment. You can't have guests over. You shouldn't be going to work, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's really fabulous. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. That's another cool tool, so to speak.
Yeah.
And Robert, thank you for joining us today. It's really been great.
Kevin, thanks for having me.
This year, our Cool Tools blog will be 20 years old, which means we've been posting something new every day for 20 years. It's only possible because of the very engaged and knowledgeable readers and listeners like yourself. You've kept this place going, and we are very grateful for you. With this idea of 20 years in mind, we decided to try an experiment this year, and I'm inviting our guests and listeners to join me on our Cool Tool Show and Tell, which is the program that you're listening to right now. So if you feel you'd make a good guest on this podcast and have 4 uncommon tools that you'd like to share with us, please sign up on our form on the website, and we'll see about inviting you. You must be comfortable talking on a video, and you need to have some tools that you can show. We record on, as you know, on Zoom. We do a YouTube version, a video version of it, as well as an audible version. Fill out the form if you're interested, and list your 4 cool tools, and we'll see if there's a good fit. The applications aren't guaranteed in any way, and we're looking at tools that are new to us and appropriate tools, and whether the times will work for you. So we're really interested in hearing from people all over the world, not just in the US, although the tools have to be available online, easily available online. And if you are a longtime listener, you kind of know what the definition of our tools are. They're very broad. They can be anything that's handy, from something in the kitchen to something you use to travel, to a workshop, to something professional that we may not know about. We're really interested in things that we don't know anything about. So this is an open invitation. We'll give it a try. If you think you make a good guess for this podcast, fill out the form. There'll be a link somewhere on our website. And we look forward to chatting with you. Thank you.